Steph fell over in her snowshoes and I turned round to help her up, and now I'm falling over. So the only guy standing up is Rupert. Okay, welcome back to Chef Campers. The weather this week has been pretty dire, to be honest. It's been lots of rain, lots of mist. We haven't been able to look out too much. We haven't been able to go on walks because there's avalanche risks and all that sort of stuff. So it's been pretty grim, but today we have got quite clear skies and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to get the campfire out and just do some gentle, relaxed cooking. Now this recipe is once again super simple, keeping with the cooking in the Alps range. It's all about taking your time, relaxing around a campfire and not worrying too much. I think sometimes when we're cooking around fire and you're cooking for a group, there's an expectation to do something that's just amazing, and that can sometimes put a bit of stress on the whole cook, and a stressful cook isn't a good cook in my opinion. The best cook is a happy one, and to be happy sometimes you require a little glass whilst you... Anyway, I promised myself I wouldn't drink too much in this one because I've got to edit the video today and get it up tonight, so it's not going to be too boozy this week, but we'll see. Right, this week I'm cooking these. They're called Diots. It's basically a sausage from this area. Now these are super popular, you see these on menus everywhere, and they are quite unique and special. There's a little hint of nutmeg in them, and sometimes you can get them smoked, sometimes you can get them with cheeses inside, but it's quite a traditional sausage. Now if you can't get these back in the UK or wherever you're watching from, then a good quality sausage with maybe a good fat content in there, with maybe pork taken from the shoulder, would be your closest substitute. But don't worry too much, maybe a little sprinkle of nutmeg whilst you cook them. And we're going to be cooking sausages on a campfire. I know that's really basic, but usually when I have sausages, it's usually with mash, a Yorkshire pudding and lots of gravy. But this week we're going to keep it French, we're going to keep it traditional. We're going to be serving it with a white wine sauce, which we're going to use some shallots, garlic, some white wine, and just simmer that down. So the sausages, the Diots, are going to be cooked in a white wine sauce, but slightly smoked on the fire first. To serve with it, well, there's a few things up in like Morzine and the Alps and this whole area that you'd usually see this with. Sometimes it's with boiled potatoes, which is a bit lame if you ask me. Sometimes mashed potatoes, sometimes polenta, sometimes crosettes, which I'll probably cook next week. I'll introduce you to these tiny little square pastas, which are great for a pasta bake. But this week I thought I would share with you kind of what I do around campfires quite a lot. Now, a lot of people's had a jacket potato in a campfire. It's quite a normal thing. It's really nice, really enjoyable. It's one of my favourite things. But quite often what I do is chuck the potatoes in the fire, and then I'll scoop out the middle once they're cooked and use that as my base for my mash. No water has been contaminated with the potato. It makes it super rich, super delicious, and mix that up with some butter, salt and pepper, and you've got one of the best mashes that you can get. So I'm going to be putting some potatoes into the fire, making mashed potato. I'm going to be putting some spring onion through the mashed potato just to liven it up a little bit. Okay, first job is to pop the sausages on. Now, I want a little bit of smoke to go onto these sausages because you can buy them kind of a little bit smoked, but these aren't, these are regular. But I'm going to put my own gentle smoke on them. So what I'm going to do is put them on the grill, raise the grill, and I've moved some of the mature logs to the front and the less mature ones to the back, and that will produce a little bit of smoke at the back, which will kind of just gently brisk the sausages. You don't want too much smoke because then you're going to get a really horrible rancid taste on the outside. So just a very gentle. If you're not that comfortable with using fire and controlling fire, then just pop these into a pan and put them straight onto the campfire and just let the flavour just infuse in the pan a little bit rather than do this pre-smoke. But I'm going to try and make this as glorious as I can, so a little bit of pre-smoke for me. Okay, before I start slicing my shallots, let's just quickly talk about the potatoes. I'm going to pop these into the campfire, just at the front, away from any direct heat, but where I know it's a really nice warm hot zone. These will take about 45 minutes to bake through, so they're super soft on the inside, so I can scoop it out and make the mash. Sausages have been smoking for about 15-20 minutes. It's just nice and gentle. It's now time to pop them into the pan because that's going to get the flavour going in the pan. Now, there's a common myth that you have to prick sausages. You don't want to do that because if you prick the sausages, once that fat gets up to temperature about 95 degrees, it starts melting, and that melty fat is what you kind of flavour the rest of the meat with within the sausage. If you prick your sausages, all that fat's just going to spit out, go into the pan, and it won't be too nice. So try and keep them nice and solid, almost like they're ready to burst, and that's the perfect way for me to cook a sausage. Also, slow and gentle. Don't rush cooking your sausage, just take your time with it, let those flavors mellow and get together. All of the cuts of meat that are used within sausages is generally the hard wearing cuts of meat, the shoulders and that sort of stuff. It's hard wearing meat, which means it needs to be cooked gentle and soft so it slowly breaks down. We're not talking about fillet steaks here that's fast hot searing. We're talking about cuts of meat that just require a nice gentle process. So yeah, and as you can see, Rupert, as soon as I say sausages, he knows what the score is. He used to have a toy which was a string of sausages, so we always used to say, where's your sausages? And he's took it upon himself to guard these now because people are walking past with dogs and he doesn't want to share these, which I don't blame him. They're nice, aren't they? Yeah, okay, right, see you in a bit. Okay, the sausages have slowly been simmering away for about 20 minutes and Rupert's done a very good job of keeping an eye on them. It's now time to add the shallots or onions. So I'm going to chop up some shallots, pop them into the pan, a little bit of butter, and when I say a little bit, I actually mean quite a bit. We'll pop that into the pan, a little bit of olive oil, and I'm now just going to chop my shallots and just pop them into the pan. Let that simmer down, let that get a little bit brown, then add the garlic, add the wine, add some thyme, and reduce that down, add the creme fraiche. Job's a good one, it's that easy. Okay, my shallots have been sliced. They're about 2 or 3 mil, maybe 4 mil thick. I pop them in the center of the pan on the gentle heat. Give them 15-20 minutes, let them soften down. The smell of onions and sausages is a classic combo, but instead of the gravy, we're going with that white wine sauce, which will make a starter once those onions are a bit soft. I'm going to rotate the potatoes around now as well, just give them an even cooking, and then in about 15-20 minutes I can take them off and start making the mash. Okay, those onions have just softened down quite nicely, nice bit of colour on them as well. At this point, you'd kind of take the sausages out and put them to one side whilst you make the sauce, but I like to keep things simple and just straightforward when I'm around the fire, so I'm going to leave them in. I've chopped up 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to pop that in, give that a couple of minutes or so on a medium heat, and then I'm going to go in with the glass of wine. Now it's going to be a large glass of wine, you can go in as much or as little as you like, and then we'll just reduce that down, but let's give that a couple of minutes of stirring before we go in with the wine. Rupert, you're getting very close here, mate, aren't you? Hey? Can you smell the sausages? Yeah. That garlic's just softened down a little bit. In with a large glass of white wine. Back onto the medium heat and let that simmer down. I'm going to take it down about 50%, and then by that time everything should start getting ready and be able to tuck into this delicious lunch. I need to top up my wine now, that's the problem. Okay, I've been sitting here for a good 15-20 minutes and the sun is starting to come out, which is glorious because we haven't seen it really this week, so quite happy about that. I might crack open a beer. That white wine that I popped in before is now reduced right down about 70%, so I can pop some creme fraiche in this now and then let it just simmer away. If you haven't got creme fraiche, go in with a little bit of cream. If you don't fancy cream, go in with a little bit of, I don't know, chicken stock maybe. Brown chicken stock would be quite nice. But yeah, just let that simmer away. Potatoes I think are now done. They're feeling quite soft, so I'm going to take them off, cut them open, scoop out the mash into a sauce pot, add some cream or creme fraiche, salt and pepper, and we're going to have ourselves a fabulous lunch. All right, let's go. Bit of creme fraiche. Okay, I have taken the potatoes off the fire. I'm going to slice them in half. I'm going to get my spoon and then I'm just going to scoop out that mash from the centre into the pot. I'm going to do all these potatoes, add a little bit of creme fraiche and then just kind of stir it and blend it. I haven't got a masher on the van, I don't carry one, I'm just going to use the back of a fork or a spoon, but because it's so soft anyway in there, it shouldn't be too hard, but it might be a little bit lumpy, but that's all right, isn't it? Campfire mash is one of my favourite things. You kind of get like a little bit of a smoky flavour in it, and it's just delicious. Okay, so I've got my mashed potato ready. My sausages, my Diots in the white wine sauce are ready. And I'm just going to quickly blanch off some green beans and see how they go. But yeah, ready to plate now. Going to sprinkle some spring onions on top. I'm ready to sit down and enjoy it. Okay, here we have my Diots sausages with campfire mash, some green beans, and a white wine and creme fraiche sauce. Bon appetit.